Greetings, my fellow peers, and welcome back to my channel. It's Shoko here. Whether you're a new viewer or a returning subscriber, I gotta thank all of you all for clicking on this video. It's greatly appreciated. Today, we'll be discussing Lesson 7 of the series, Growing Up, Answers Young Ones Need, in which we'll be answering a question that many of us likely have in our mind, which is, how can I get along with my sibling or my siblings? In this day and age, it can be quite difficult to get along with your siblings, not only because of a difference in hobbies or interests, but just because we're in our own little worlds. So, today we'll be discussing ways in which we can get along with our siblings and thus strengthen our relationships with them as we continue to grow older. So, let's get into it. But first things first, I gotta say I'm really sorry for not uploading in such a while. Due to school and different circumstances, I have been so busy and have been able to upload any videos. But I hope that this video makes up for it. Well, so now I'll sit back and deliver the reason why you're still watching this video, which is Lesson 7, How Can I Get Along with My Sibling? Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being distant and 5 being close, how would you rate your relationship with your siblings? Well, some siblings are very close. Let's take Felicia, for example, who is 19. She says, my 16-year-old sister, Irina, is one of my best friends. And Carly, who's 17, says of her 20-year-old brother, Eric, we get along super well. We never fight. On the other hand, many have a relationship like that of Lauren and Marla. We fight about everything, says Lauren. It doesn't matter how trivial the subject. Or maybe you can relate to what Alice, who's 12, says about her 14-year-old brother, Dennis. He gets on my nerves. He barges into my room and borrows things without asking. She says Dennis is such a child. Well, do you have a sibling who gets on your nerves? Your parents, of course, have the responsibility to maintain order in the household. Sooner or later, though, you will need to learn how to get along with others. You can learn that while at home. Think about the conflicts you've had with your brother or sister. What do you fight about the most? Well, let's go through a few things that might actually make your blood boil. First things first, possession. My sibling borrows items without asking. Second, personality clashes. My sibling acts selfishly or thoughtlessly or tries to run my life. And number 3, privacy. My sibling enters my room without knocking or reads my emails or text messages without asking permission. If your sibling constantly annoys you, bossing you around or invading your space, it might be hard to not let resentment build. But if you do hold a grudge, it will result in an angry outburst, just as surely as squeezing your nose will cause blood to flow. Then the problem will only get worse. So, how can you prevent an irritation from bursting into a raging argument? Well, a first step is to identify the real issue. So, was it an incident or an issue? Well, problems between siblings are like pimples, for example. The surface evidence of a pimple is an unsightly sore, but the cause is an underlying infection. And in the same way, an ugly clash between siblings is often just the surface evidence of an underlying issue. You could attempt to treat a pimple by squeezing it, but you would only be dealing with the symptom, and you may leave a scar or aggravate the infection. A better approach is to deal with the infection and thus prevent further outbreaks. That would be the logical thing to do. And that's similar when it comes to problems with siblings. Learn to identify the underlying issue and you will get past the incident and right to the root of the problem. For example, Alice, who was quoted earlier, said about her brother Dennis, "He barges into my room and bothers things without asking." In this case, that's the incident. But what do you think is the real issue? Likely it's related to respect. Alice could deal with the problem by telling Dennis to never come into her room or use her things. But that approach treats only the symptom or the surface evidence and would likely lead to further conflict. However, if Alice could convince Dennis to respect her privacy and her property, their relationship would no doubt improve. Now we're going to discuss how to learn to resolve or avoid conflicts. Of course, identifying the underlying issues you have with a sibling is only part of the solution. What can you do to resolve an issue and avoid a future confrontation? Well, you can try the following 6 steps. Step number 1. Agree to some ground rules. Look back at what you indicated caused conflict between you and your sibling. See if together you can work out some rules that you both agree on and that address the underlying issue. For example, if you clash over possessions, rule number 1 could be always ask before taking an item that belongs to someone else. Rule number 2 could be respect a sibling's right to say no. You can't use the item. That way, you will make the rules that both you and your sibling can live by and will be comfortable with. Then check with your parents to make sure that they also approve of your rules, and therefore you can maintain the peace in your household. Step number 2, abide by the rules yourself. How can you apply this? Well, if you want your sibling to respect your privacy, for example, then you likewise need to knock before entering your sibling's room or ask before reading his or her emails or text messages. Step number 3, don't be quick to take offense. Why is that good advice? Well, if you're easily offended, your life will be miserable. Yes, your siblings will do or say things that upset you, but ask yourself, have I done something similar to them in the past? Well, take Jenny for example. She says, when I was 13, I thought that I was too cool for everyone, and that my opinion was the most important and must be heard. My little sister is now going through the similar stage, so I try not to get upset over the things that she says. Step number 4, forgive and forget. Serious problems need to be discussed and resolved, but must you call your sibling to account for every mistake that he or she makes? Well, Alison, who's 19, says, my sister Rachel and I are usually able to resolve our differences. Both of us are quick to say that we are sorry and then explain what we think was the cause of the clash. Sometimes I'll sleep on it before bringing up a problem. Often, the next morning, it's as if the slate is wiped clean, and I don't even have to talk about it. Now, step number 5, involve your parents as arbitrators. If you and your sibling can't resolve an important issue, maybe your parents can help you make peace. Remember though, the ability to resolve conflict without appealing to your parents is like a mile marker. It's the measure of genuine maturity and a great step in the right direction. And finally, step number 6, appreciate your siblings' good qualities. Your siblings likely have qualities that you admire. Well, write down one thing that you appreciate about each of your siblings. Rather than obsess about your siblings' faults, why not find an opportunity to tell them what it is that you admire about them? Although a brother or sister might not always be the closest companion you will have, you can definitely strengthen your friendship with your siblings if you continue putting up with one another, even when they give you a valid cause for complaint. And if you do so, your siblings are likely to become less irritating to you, and you may even annoy them less. So both parties would benefit. Well, guys, this brings us to the end of this week's lesson of the series Growing Up Answers Young Ones Need. And I truly hope that you enjoyed this information and you found it helpful to help you strengthen your friendships with your siblings and grow closer as you get older. And if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe because it's free. And if you'd like me to go through any other things, please comment down below and I'd be glad to go through all of them. Guys, it was great seeing you all this week and I can't wait to see you again next Tuesday. Choco is out.